We're back with more MLS picks this weekend, and there's 13 games on Saturday, one more on Sunday for this weekend's MLS Week 30 action from August 31st to September 1st. During the week, Philly played Columbus on Wednesday in a makeup game with the Crew winning 1-0 after also winning the Leagues Cup final last Sunday. The U.S. Open Cup was also in action. SKC played Indy 11 on Tuesday. They won 2-0. Seattle hosted LAFC on Wednesday, and they lost 1-0, losing to LAFC once again. Meanwhile, in Canada, Toronto played Forge FC. Vancouver played Pacific in the Canadian Championship semis on Tuesday as well, and both of those teams getting the win and moving on to the final. So we have a few teams that have played already midweek. Let's get into this weekend's action now. And while you're watching, if you find this info helpful, give the video a like and subscribe to the channel for more. And starting this week, I'm going to start looking for extra picks to include in the members-only portion of this channel. I'll keep covering all the top leagues on the weekends and MLS and other top tournaments as well, but I want to look into some extra bets and parlays each week to share in the members-only comments area of the channel, as well as maybe some extra shorts videos here and there as well. There's tons of leagues out there, tons of games going on, only so much time to make videos full length every day and every week. So click that membership join button for more information to check out extra picks all year long. This week, welcome 3 new members already: Jesse S., Eek Okafor, and Naman Dillon. Thank you, all 3 of you, for becoming new members. Let's get some MLS picks going here. Starting with FC Cincinnati, CF Montreal. Cincy has been burning up money for their backers of late, and they couldn't even get on the score sheet last week at all against Miami, despite playing up a man for a large part of that game, and went on to lose 2-0. After picking up yellow cards, both Luciano Acosta and DeAndre Yedlin will also be suspended here. And since he usually struggles when Acosta's not in the lineup, it was 3 straight losses heading in the Leagues Cup before a 1-0, 4-2, and 1-1 PK win in the tournament before getting knocked out 4-2 by Philly in the round of 16. After the Miami loss, it's now 4 straight MLS losses in a row, but this is still second place, playing 11th. And Montreal has not been much better. They just got run off of their own pitch last week, 5-0, to another team that's down there in the standings, New England. They lost 2 of 3 Leagues Cup games. They have 4 wins across all competitions in their last 24 matches, and they've been outscored 13-4 in their past 4 games. Montreal did win 2-1 when these teams last met in Montreal back in April. Before that, it was also 1-1. Their last meeting in Cincy, though, was a 3-0 Cincinnati win last year. This one could be a good spot, hopefully, for Cincinnati to get back on track. Cincy has been down of late. They don't have a good record without Acosta, but Montreal hasn't won on the road since all the way back on March 10th. And in their past 35 road games, they've also only won 5 times. So even without Acosta suspended and also dealing with injuries as well, I'm going to hope this is the spot for Cincinnati at home to get back in the win column. We'll start off this parlay with Cincinnati to win. And leg 2, we'll go to Chicago and Inter Miami. Let's go to that Miami team that just took down Cincy 2-0 last week. This looks on paper like a layup against Chicago, 13th in the East. Miami became the first team to clinch a spot in the playoffs with their 2-0 win over Cincy last week. And they're without Thomas Avilas, though, who took a red card in that game. Likely still without Messi, who remains out injured, but has been back practicing. They haven't missed a beat without Messi anyways. Last week, it was Luis Suarez scoring 2 goals within 6 minutes of the game to get the win. Their 58 goals scored are tops in the league, and their 56 points are 4 more than the Galaxy's 52 in the Supporters' Shield race. Miami a plus 155 to get the win here. That could be a gift at great odds on the road. Even being able to include Miami to simply score in a parlay at minus 500 is a layup. It's an option. Miami to score 2 or more at minus 110 odds. That's a great bet. They're usually always good for 2 goals. Of course, they're always capable of conceding, so the both teams to score and both teams scoring over 2.5 is always in play. Miami just had one of those games when they played last. Miami won 2-1 in Miami on July 20th. When they last played Chicago, but then Chicago won 4-1, 3-2, and 3-1 in previous meetings. 2 of those 3 were in the pre-Messi era, though, but these teams have played to both teams scoring over 2.5. Miami has scored multiple goals in 12 of 15, but the both teams scoring over 2.5 is 13-2 in that time. Starting with that 2-1 loss to Miami, the Fire then lost 2-1, 3-1, and then drew 2-2 last week to New York City. They've allowed 2 or more goals in 4 straight, and have only 4 wins in 21 games across all competitions. So to me, there's anything Miami or goals looks like a good bet here. If you want to go all out and go Miami to win, certainly possible. Miami double chance, draw no bet to score 2, both teams to score over 2.5. For me in the parlay, I'm going Miami double chance. So that's win or tie, win or draw, paired with the Cincinnati win to come in at plus 109 odds. Parlay number 2, Orlando City hosting Nashville SC. It's 7th versus 14th here. Orlando won in Nashville 3-0 in July. In past seasons, they also saw them with 1-0, 1-0, and wins of 1-0. So all Orlando lately in this matchup. The Lions let me down last week, not being able to score against SKC, a team that everybody scores against. They lost 3-0, but I'm hoping that's a blip on the radar, if that was the first regulation loss in 8 games and just their second in 11 for Orlando. Nashville changed coaches to BJ Callahan, but the losses keep coming. They lost 2-0 and then drew 1-1, losing in PKs in the Leagues Cup, and then lost 2-0 at home to Austin last weekend back in MLS. They added a new midfielder in Pat Yazbak, but subbed him out for allegations of use of offensive language last week. Not sure if he'll be suspended here or could not start this week as well. So it's now 9 straight losses for Nashville, where they've been outscored 21-4. I'm not going to bet on that changing here in Orlando. We'll go Orlando to win, and we'll include a couple teams just to get on the score sheet here to complete this parlay. Toronto and DC. I never know what to expect from TFC. They had been winless in 10, then won 4 of 5, including Leagues Cup wins over the Red Bulls and Pachuca. They went toe-to-toe with Miami, ultimately losing 4-3. And then in Houston, a tough place to play, usually won 1-0 last week. That came without Insigne and Bernardeschi only playing part of the game. You never really know if or how much those two Italian stars will be in the lineup for Toronto on a week-to-week basis. And in fact, this week, Bernardeschi's yellow card last week will see him miss out of this game, which is the same idea for Osorio, also going to be missing out as well. On Tuesday, they played in the Canadian Championship Leg 2 semis versus Forge FC, and they won 1-0, advancing to the final. At 3.5 goals per match, DC's games averaged the 6th most in the league. A 4-3 loss to Dallas last week bumped up that number, certainly, but other recent DC games have been a 2-1 loss, 3-0 win, 3-3 draw, 4-0 loss, 3-2 win, 2-1 win, 5-0 loss, 3-2 loss, 2-2 draw, and a 4-1 loss. So obviously you can see the trend in their game has been a ton of goals at both ends of the pitch. That 3-0 win over Santos Laguna in Leagues Cup is their only clean sheet in 24 games in all competitions, and the DC has lost 22 points from winning positions in MLS this season. That's the worst in the league. So even when they go up, that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to win. One thing you can usually count on when TFC and DC meet up is goals. It was 2-2 in DC in June, and other scores. Let's run off some more scores here. Other scores have been 2-1, 3-2, 2-2, 2-1, 3-1, 7-1, 2-2, 2-2, 5-1, and 1-1. So I would say this looks like a game that should have goals. Toronto, though, did just shut out Houston. They are out Bernardeschi. All I'm going to do is ask Toronto to get on the score sheet. They still got Insigne. They're still at home. And DC never keeps clean sheets. So Toronto to score in this parlay. Austin FC, Vancouver Whitecaps, only 4 points separate 6th Vancouver and 9th Austin. Austin had surprising 3-2 and 2-0 wins over Mexican sides like Pumas and Monterrey in the Leagues Cup before getting knocked out 2-0 by LAFC. Last week they went to Nashville, won 2-0. They're 3-1-1-5, and they've scored multiple goals in 4 of their last 5. The Caps drew LAFC 2-2. Won in PKs. They beat Tijuana 3-1 before losing 2-0 to Pumas in the Leagues Cup. And then they were off since August 3rd, with no game last week. They did play, though, on Wednesday in the Canadian Championship semis versus Pacific and won 1-0. They got Ryan Gauld back, who scored, but saw leading scorer Brian White leave with a concussion. Not sure if he'll be in the lineup this week or not. That makes them 10-1-4 in their last 15 in all competitions, with just 2 losses in 11. Their record is good, and they usually score, but they've also given up a goal in 20 of 22 games. And who have they shut out in those 2 games? Well, both shutouts have come against the lower-level CPL side, Pacific, in the Canadian Championship. Head-to-head, they did draw 0-0 in Austin in May. Last year, it was 2-1 Vancouver at home, and again, 0-0 in Austin. This time, I'm going to bet on Austin at least getting on the score sheet and just ask Austin to score. We'll go Austin to score, Toronto to score, that being over 0.5, paired with the Orlando win, a plus 123 odds. Parlay number 3, RSL, New England Revolution. For much of the season, RSL's been in the Supporters' Shield contention, and they sit 3rd in the West. For much of the year, New England has struggled and are 12th in the East, but these teams are maybe headed in slightly opposite directions right now. And that will make RSL, because of the, so far, how both of these teams have done this year, RSL are big favorites right now, around minus 200, and they're at home. The Revs, plus 500 or more, plus 525, somewhere around there to get the win. RSL have not been the same team, though, of late. They have just 1 win in 6. They just lost 2-0 to spoon leader San Jose at home last week. They've conceded in 10 straight. And in 14 of 15, they sold Andres Gomez in transfer window. Chicho Arango left last week's game injured with a hamstring. He'll be out here as well and should miss some games. The Revs aren't in great form either, but they did just go to Montreal and win 5-0. Carlos Gil came back from injury. New DP Luca Langoni even got on the score sheet as well with limited minutes in that game. The Revs haven't lost in regulation now in 5 games, but 3 of those 5 have been ended tied, and the Montreal game is the only time in 8 games they've scored more than 1 goal. Given the odds, though, making New England as big of an underdog as they are, that means that we can even just use a parlay piece for them to score, which is not too bad of odds. So we'll just ask New England to get on the score sheet in this game. And then we'll go to Dallas and Colorado. Both teams come in on highs here. Dallas went to DC. They got a 4-3 win last week. Their first road win of the season. Leagues Cup, they lost 2-1 and 2-0. They're 3-1-2 overall in 6, though. They've scored in 8 of 9 and 12 of 14, but they've given up goals in 11 of 12 and 18 of 20. Dallas will see Paul Arriola miss out through suspension, but the long injured Alan Velasco made the bench last week, so could get some time here perhaps. The win in DC was more impressive as Peter Musa missed out, and that meant all 3 of their DPs were out of the lineup. Colorado won the Leagues Cup third place game over Philly, winning in PKs after a 2-2 draw. That earns them a spot in the Champions Cup next season. They won 5 of 7 Leagues Cup games. 3 of those games didn't need PKs. In all matches, they're 11-1-4, and if you count Leagues Cup PK wins as wins. But only once in 14 games and 3 times in 20 have they managed to keep their opponents off the score sheet. Dallas games have averaged 3.2 goals per match. Colorado's 3.6. The last 3 meetings, 2-1 Colorado in April, 1-1 and 2-1 Colorado last season. We'll go both teams to score between Dallas and Colorado and add the New England goal to get us to plus 125. You could even, if you wanted to just go over 1.5 goals in Dallas and Colorado instead of both teams to score, that would still be minus 130. Obviously not as good of odds, but certainly an option. But I'll go both teams to score. Dallas, Colorado, New England to score. One more parlay here, 2 more games. San Jose and Minnesota. It's a late game on Saturday night. The Quakes actually made an impressive Leagues Cup run, reaching the round of 16 before a 4-1 loss to LAFC. They came out of the break, upset one of the league's top teams on the road, beating RSL 2-0. San Jose only has 4 wins. 1 came in PKs in their last 19 games, but 3 have come in their past 5, and they've scored now in 5 straight games. Minnesota was in and out of Leagues Cup with a 2-0 loss and a 1-0 win back at MLS last weekend, and they lost 3-2 at home to Seattle. They welcomed some new players. Center back Jefferson Diaz was not that great in his debut, but DP striker Kevin Yeboah scored twice. So it's only 2 wins for the Loons in 13 games and only 2 clean sheets in their last 20. Minnesota has seen 25 of 26 games end with 2 or more goals. San Jose has seen 23 of 26 end with 2 or more goals. Only 3 teams, SKC, Miami, and Portland, have seen more both teams to score games than Minnesota's 73%. This is an easy over 1.5 or likely a both teams to score or both teams to score in over 2.5 in my mind. San Jose did, though, just shut out RSL, and it was on the road because I want to make sure that hopefully this parlay is still alive going into Sunday's 1 game. I'll keep it super simple and just ask for over 1.5, but I definitely think both teams to score is a great bet as well. And I want to make sure this parlay is alive because we have 1 standalone game on Sunday, and it'll be St. Louis and the LA Galaxy, and this one just looks like it should be a ton of goals to me. So the odds makers basically see the same thing. Both teams scored over 2.5. I saw it minus 175 already earlier in the week. LA is first in the West, St. Louis 13th. But St. Louis may have turned a corner a bit during Leagues Cup, bringing in some new faces, reaching the round of 16, and almost even knocking off Club America before ultimately losing 4-2. Still, after last week's 4-4 draw with Portland, they're 2-3-1 in regulation in their past 6, so that's just 1 loss. And they've scored 13, but allowed 12, and the both teams to score is a perfect 6-0. The Galaxy added a new face of their own in Dortmund legend Marco Reus. He subbed in a 0-0 game last week against Atlanta. Reus had an assist and a goal very quickly, and LA won 2-0. He could get an extended run this game as well, especially with Ricky Puig out suspended. LA have only lost 5 times in 23 games. They've scored multiple goals in 15 of 23 and 5 of 6, but they've given up goals in 8 of 9 and multiple in 6 of 9. These teams just played in March, and it was 3-3. Last year, it was 2-2 and 1-1. To me, I'm going to go both teams to score and over 2.5 this time around and pair it with the over 1.5 with San Jose and Minnesota to get minus 132 odds. Those are my MLS Week 30 best bets and predictions. Be sure to share your picks, your parlays, your straight bets, your props, anything else you're betting in MLS this weekend down there in the comments. And if you want to score some free bonus money as a new Sportsbook customer, check out the link in the comments, signupexpert.com/shredthespread to see a list of all the top promos from all of the best sportsbooks in your area to take advantage of all the great offers that they have for new customers. Check it out, and good luck this weekend.